Hey guys, Mike here. So, oh boy, what a day in the market for tech, and it was like opposite day, right? Like what's gone up the last 3 days, all sold off today, and then what's been going down finally got some love. We'll go into those charts. We'll talk about one stock that's, man, it's setting up for an explosive move, and I'll show you why exactly. Okay, I'll give you two examples on this chart to show you this. Also, another stock that's has a big day coming up here, and so we'll see if we finally get the sell-off on this one. We'll have to see. I want to start off this right here. This is household stock allocation. It's at all-time highs currently. And when you look, I want to look at the 70s. Look at the 70s, man. It was like almost 30% allocation. And look at this thing sell down in the 70s going into the 80s. Wow. Got down to single digits, almost 8%, man. Rough times right there. But look how things have changed. It rockets back up going into the dot-com bubble. Way up there. So that's a new all-time high. Comes crashing down after the dot-com bubble. Not too bad though, still like 18%. Then there's the great financial crisis, comes down around 14%. But ever since the Fed stepped in, the government stepped in, took over the bond market, the stock market, rarely do you see some crazy move down. Even during 2020, we only came down to like 20%, I believe that is. So that is nuts, man. Now, speaking of opposite day, right? Everything that was going up went down. Small caps, RSP, that's the equal weight ETF for S&P. Dow, DJT was down like 1.5%. That's the transportation stocks. Should be up tomorrow because of FedEx. And then you look over here, you got your Mag 8 right there. XOKs, the big caps. Stocks, obviously semiconductors, go all the way down. And then when you flip it, well, look at that. All this stuff was green for the last 3 days. Said, nope, we're going to sell off. So you see, obviously getting overextended maybe, a little too hot right there. They rotate the money back into something that's being oversold, and I'll show you what I'm talking about on that. And then, of course, Nvidia, the king, 7% it was today. Tesla even joined in. Google, all-time highs. Meta and every single social media stock was up really big today. But when you look at the Qs, what was going on here? You look on the 30-minute or the hourly, oversold, right? I mean, it's just been hammered down the last 3 days, bullish divergence, ends up playing out, ends up getting a nice bounce because, of course, I want to show you the other stocks, you understand why. But again, the question is, where is it going to go, right? Because right now, it's heading up into here, which, probably might be resistance right there, but when you look at it on the hourly, are we going to be coming back up to grab some liquidity before moving back down? Because right now what you have is a high at the top right here. There's your low. And so now the question is going to be, where is this going? Okay. Because if we come up and start turning back over, that just sets a lower high, right? And so, and then do we turn back over, start heading towards that gap, towards the mid line right there of the channel, which would be a nice bouncing area if that's the case. Going into July, that's what we got to figure out. And when we pull up a little box here, you can see, maybe it gets up here, right? There's a fair value gap. That would be a liquidity grab. But if it gets up in there, normally, if you blow right through those fair value gaps, it is super bullish. But normally, you get a response, right? You get a turn down. And that's why when I bring back up the little marks here, that would be a lower high and then start heading down towards a lower low. And so we'll see how it plays out. Now, Nvidia did, and I meant to service yesterday, sorry. XLK got its new weighting of almost 20%. It's kind of weird even looking at this because I've seen this so many times. But to see Apple setting at 4.5%, super strange right there. But so now Nvidia is the second largest behind Microsoft in XLK, which is a very popular ETF right there. And when you look at Nvidia, of course, what was this one? I mean, it got oversold too. Dropped 16% in 3 days, came into a gap right there. So nice bounce area. Again, you see some bullish divergence right there forming on the hourly and stuff. So it got a huge bounce up a day, cross back above the month-to-day anchor VWAP, the 21 EMA, filled this gap right here, and that's where it stalled, right? And usually when they fill a gap, what happens? Normally they'll start coming back down. But we'll see. If it's going to grab some more liquidity, here's an area it could try to do that. So we'll have to find out if there's going to be some follow-through on this one. This is another one when you're looking at it saying, well, that was a huge drop right there. Is this all the market wants? That's what we got to find out. Now, Tesla, this one right here had a decent day for Tesla. Again, that one like 67, 168 area is just a beast. But this one right here is definitely setting up for an explosive move. And really, it's setting up technically to me to the upside, obviously. And the reason why, if we draw a trend line right here, you can see this ascending triangle, right? And what you're looking at here is you see it just pressing and keeps testing that like 167, 168 area right there, while at the same time setting higher lows. And usually that equates to an explosive move. And I mean an explosive move, probably like in one day it'll do 5-6%. The reason why I say that, if we go back here just in May and June, we got to see the opposite, right? Here's a descending triangle, not perfect of course, but you can draw a line across that and you see how many times it just kept hitting it and hitting it and hitting it and hitting it. And what happened? Boom. All right, the dam opened, floodgates open, 5% move in one day for this one, right? And so I think that trend line up top I pointed out many times, when it's sitting around like 192, 193 is going to be, you know, where it's going to hit. But, you know, again, it could happen tomorrow, it could happen a week from now. We'll have to see. Google is setting at all-time highs, and it's just kind of just melting up slowly right here, right? And that trend line right there, which has been resistance, now tested twice, continues to be support for it, so I'm going to keep it there. But when you look at, you know, Google here, obviously there's the previous all-time high. It's well above that right now. It had some news come out today, which is why, of course, I think it was super bullish today. They got another AI pump with partnering with Motorola and stuff to bring AI features to the phones. So pumpy pump on the AI there. But I will say this is one of the most structural move ups of any AI stock you're going to find out there, right? It's not super overstretched right now. I would say it is above the 200 for sure. Because when you look at it, it's just not one of these high flyers, right? Like a Meta or Nvidia or any one of these, right? But again, it's just come up, it's retested a structure, a support area, moved up, come down, tested support, moved back up, and just keeps doing it over and over and over. And when you look at this one, on the weekly is the first time it's reached overbought territory. And what was that? 2021 was the last time it got up there. And if you look back all the way going to 2016, this is just not one of those ones, because it's not a high flyer that gets overbought very often, especially on the weekly. Again, that doesn't mean it's going to sell down, for crying out loud, at all. I'm just saying it rarely happens. And when you go to the daily, it's not overbought at all. It's not even up in that area. And so this could continue to move. You do see bearish divergence right there if you're looking at it closely. But again, it's in price discovery, so we'll see how far they're going to try to bring this one. That trend line, if it does come back down right around that 50 EMA right there, will be where you want to look at for support if that happens. But when you look, and I'm doing a video for the members on this one, it's what's going to happen in July for Google is usually very, very good. Now, Chipotle, hey, I pronounced it correctly. This one right here, you know, they sell burritos, but this one's going to have its stock split coming up tomorrow, and it's a 50 for 1, right? So huge stock split, one of the biggest ones you'll ever see. They just waited forever to do it. Now this one obviously came down, did not touch that trend line with a 50 moving average, 50 SMA is setting right there. But normally, yes, people say when you split, the post split, you get a pullback. If the market is going down, that is true for sure. We've seen that, right? Because Nvidia didn't get it. It just got it now and the market's rolled over. But this one has been moving up like gangbusters since it announced the split for sure. And it's going to be weird. I think it'd be like 65 bucks if I'm not mistaken, post split. So it's going to be weird seeing it like that. And I understand, so this one is definitely, it would not surprise me if it gets a pullback for sure. Because again, this ain't high tech, it's not AI, they sell burritos, right? But the reason why it's been able to move up this high is because it literally has 27 million outstanding shares, for crying out loud. So that's why this one's been able to push. I'm surprised they have not done a split, but why? If they keep pushing you up, I guess that's why they didn't do it. So we'll see if people start to come in and buy it or wait till you get a pullback on this one. So, and this one structurally normally stays within its moving average, doesn't go crazy. And now it's like 30 to 35% above its 200. And you can see in the past, it's only happened a few times. And every time it got way up there like this, you got a decent pullback, anywhere from 10 to 15%, if not more. I wouldn't count that one because that was 2022. That one I would count, got like 40% before it started to pull back. Ends up having like a 15% pullback right there. And so, you know, anytime it's happened, it's pulled back and it's going to be post-split. And you can kind of see what I'm talking about when I say this one's definitely gotten overstretched for sure. But we'll see what the market's doing. If the market's roaring, this could continue to go up, especially if people start flooding in at $65 a share. Now, when you look at Hood, we talked about this. What happened? The attached to crypto, right? Bitcoin gets a nice green day. So does Hood. So just remember, if you're in it, that's what you're looking at. If crypto's going down, most likely Hood's going to go down. And speaking of Bitcoin, it came down, tapped that trend line, right here. The channel it's been in since like September of last year, or stayed in for a while before it busted out of it to the penny. and then bounced and got a decent bounce today. Is it going to be a dead cat bounce? That's what we got to find out, because that was, you know, it's just been going down, and that was a really big move yesterday when it came down. So, you know, we'll see if that's the case or not. Are we going to break in that, come down to the bottom of the descending channel, which is right around like 55, 56,000. So let me know in the comments if you think that's the bottom or not. Now, when it comes to earnings, you're going to have Paychex, General Mills, but the big one is Micron, okay? So another semiconductor. We'll see if this one can keep it up after this little pullback. You got BlackBerry and Levi as well. And then the only news we got for tomorrow is new home sales and crude oil inventories, both after the market opens at 10:30. And sometimes when you don't have like mega news coming out, it can be a very tight range day. So that's what we're going to have to figure out. FedEx just reported they're way up. Remember, they went up way up last time, like 15%, sold off within 2 weeks. They gave back all the gains. But we'll see if transportations are back up. What you want to see more than anything else is actually the whole market, especially come July, moving up, right? The Dow, the transportations, the RSP, so we get more stock, more breath, right, coming into the market, and the whole market is not going to be pulled up just by, you know, 7, 8 stocks or whatever. And so that's what we're hoping happens come July. Again, we're still in this window of like uncertainty with this week we're in now and coming into the end of June. I'm actually doing some research on the last week of June versus the first 2 weeks of July and all this stuff to see what we normally get over the last like 10, 12 years. So I'll let you guys know what I end up finding. So anyway, hope you guys got something out of it. Please hit that like and subscribe button if you did. Really appreciate it. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.